Hello, Proxy Table Gaming fans. You're joined by Gobbo for the Goblins Grotto Hobby Show. We also have a Scabfat.
So when are you actually giving me a pay rise for this?
I'm not paying you at all.
Well, precisely.
I was going to say I was paying you with love, but that would come across as bad. We also have Marmaduke.
Hello! I will take the payment in love.
You're more than welcome to have it, my friend. How are you all?
Very good. Yep, I am very well. I never know when asked this, whether to give you and the listeners a rundown of my weeks and my life stories, or whether just to do the pleasantries of all is a-okay. All is a-okay.
Good.
How are you?
Yeah. So this week I've
Wow. Okay. Well, ghosted as well. Ghosted as well. Wow.
There will be no pleasantries here. Goblins know nothing of pleasantries.
So this is the swirling melee in this episode, and to win any battle, you must fight as if you're all dead, and dispense of any pleasantries. Okay, in this episode, we have social media hobby heroes, I can say at this time, and we have a little of a new segment which was brought up from the survey, feedback survey that we've been doing, where people wanted to discuss a little bit more about the Ninth Age lore. So we've got a little bit for you to go into there. So first up, we have Lutherian 99. So this is going to be right up Andy's street. This is very, very modern.
Oh, I'm sold already.
Sold, and you haven't even seen a model yet.
Boom.
Boom.
Nice.
Nice. Really, really cool.
Are these Oh yes.
Oh, I've seen this before.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
These models are amazing.
This is incredible. I love it. I was just going to ask before you go into any more pictures, is that a charcoal drawing?
I don't know the answer, I'm afraid. I wish I did, but
I mean,
think
fantastic.
It's a cool drawing, but it was sort of setting the scene out for his
Absolutely.
style.
Yeah, 100%.
It certainly looks it, doesn't it?
So
Yeah,
this is
it's great.
a Stormcast town or city,
Yeah.
basically, but he's gone for a very grim, dark, and desolate sort of style. So that's the first model that I want to show you.
Yeah, it's so good. This
Really, really cool.
invades my Pinterest wall for my for my Empire new model army. New model army for my new army.
New model army. So
Yeah.
the big thing that I like about all these models so far is the scatter terrain that he's got on his basing. So he's got a combination of twigs, leaves, branches, crackle effects, as well as then all the different tufts. Just really, really cool. And then again, the textures that he's gone into on the shield. So you can see that he's probably used some texture paint around the actual rim of the shield itself.
So good. It's so specific as well. I've studied these pictures a lot. Disclaimer. And it's just the colouring is so specific on the he is a he, isn't it? As in,
I think so.
Sorry, apologies about assuming there, but the colouring on for the colour chart that they use, like, so for the colour palette, just incredible. Like base grey, and then offsetting the yellows and the oranges against the browns. And it's
smart.
like they highlight the bases with its own browns, oranges, and yellows. And it's like, what is going on here? It's amazing. It's incredible.
Really, really smart. And again, it really encapsulates it doesn't have to be neat and tidy to win prizes.
Yeah.
So again, he got a Golden Demon finalist pin for this model, for example.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I think just the style, the techniques that he's used to paint it, like if we're looking at the lore of what a Stormcast Eternal is, this to me screams that story much more than Shiny Golden Boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shiny boys.
And it just completely there's in Nashra.
I
And-
don't know it.
Yeah.
It's just
And
awesome.
it just completely changes the aesthetic as well. The
Yeah.
expectation that many have been since 2016, since they were first released of what a Stormcast Eternal is supposed to look like, or at least sort of like presented when they first came presented by GW, and this completely changes that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it also completely works.
Definitely.
100%.
So with this one here, for example, I love the fact that to nature and actually taking the marking Tawny Owl, and he's changed the
Yes.
helmet as well to
Yeah.
look more owl-like. Is it Stygian? Is that the right phrase? Strixien? Whatever. More owl-like, but just stunning. In the freehand.
Yeah, my gosh, yeah. Oh goodness, that's so good.
Really cool. And again, regardless of it, whether it's AOS or if it's T9A, again, could be Chaos Warriors, Warriors of the Dark Gods, Demons.
So the newer Stormcast models, the ones that came out in the 3rd edition of AOS,
Yeah.
I genuinely think, well, I sort of, I'm sort of biased, I guess, because like my Warriors of the Dark God army uses Stormcast parts.
Yes.
And like I managed to fit them on the bases. I believe that these models are a bit more kind of slender and more well proportioned than the original sculpts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But an army of newer Stormcast as a Warriors of the Dark God army, I think would be like, especially if they were painted like this,
Yes.
sublime,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The
And
older
there's
Stormcast,
yeah.
they're quite an iconic sort of look to them, don't they? It was the
Yeah.
first sort of edition. Whereas
Yeah.
these ones, they look, as you said, more proportioned. You've got either the big brutes, which you can use for your Forsworn. You've then got your normal chaps, which you can use as your chosen or your warriors. Really, really clever.
Yeah, because the Vindictors, which are the ones with the spears, they are, yeah, as you say, they're sort of slightly taller than some, whereas the Liberators were a bit more sort of heavy set and a little bit more squashed. Well, I say squashed, it's not that. It's more that their legs were spread out wide, so their center of gravity was brought down slightly.
Got to fill up that 32 mil base.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
40.
exactly that. They're 40 now, but yeah.
Yeah. And again, look, just Sister of Battle conversion into
I know, right?
a Mordheim-esque style. I think it's just fantastic. I just love it.
Is that not an actual? Is that a Sister of Battle or is it?
I think it's a Sister of Battle.
It is a Sister of Battle. Okay, fair.
But the verdigris on that statue.
Oh, it's just so good.
It's just stunning.
It's just the mood that the models set. Just they just ooze character, don't they? Like
they do. Again, even the back of it, just the height and the different levels of overgrowth and stuff like that. I think it's really clever.
Yeah. Very nice.
So Lutherian 99 on Instagram. Go check them out. Next up, we have Jean Piencheur. I probably butchered that one. But a lot of the older... Oh, look at Famir. I've still got to post yours, Dan.
Yep.
Oh, lovely. That's really cool.
Funky goblins. Love it.
Oh,
I love 'em.
yay for goblins!
Yay for proper.
That's fantastic.
I just love them.
Give us goblins in heavy armor, you cowards!
I know, right?
Exactly, with great weapons.
Where are these models from?
I cannot remember. I will try and remember to put the link in later. I shared it in the Ninth Age channel. Again, Matt Paris was asking about where it was. but it is on Jean Pienter's Instagram page.
Okay.
Because he has painted these for the company, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But kettle helmet, love it.
Amazing. Just amazing.
Just they're so characterful. I love them.
I feel like goblins are one of the only kind of fantasy races where you can put these absurd body shapes on
Yep.
display,
Yeah.
and they don't seem weird.
Yes,
Like
it's very Brian Froud, isn't it? All of it.
Yes.
So Labyrinth and Jim
Absolutely.
Henson.
Yeah, definitely.
Really, really clever.
Oh, that's cool.
amazing.
Great troll. What a troll.
I love it. It's just the eyes just pointing in different directions.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant. But like the little plaster over his tummy.
That blue is incredible. That color, the color blue of the skin is just incredible.
Beautiful. Yeah, really smart. There's the whole gang together.
Amazing.
It looks like it can be out of Labyrinth or anything like that. Just fantastic. So yeah. However, he's more accustomed to painting very, very nice KOE Bretonia.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow.
So next couple of photos, you'll be amazed at how different every single model is, and it's painted to a show quality.
Wowza. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Just wow.
I still think a well-painted kind of Arthurian knight-esque army, so whether it's Kingdoms of Ecbatane, Bretonia, whatever.
Yeah, just stunning.
Yeah.
And then some traditional models there. So cool. Can you remember the names of them? Can you remember the names, Andy?
Wait, sorry, for
The bandits in the centre.
as in the GW, the model names.
Yeah, exactly. Can you remember them?
Oh gosh.
Remember the one on the right, which was Guy the Gross.
Oh no, I can't. Do you know what? I can't. I'm having a complete mind blank. Go, have to remind me. Go on.
I know the Guy the Gross, which is the fat one on the right, which is the Friar Tuck sort of one. The Robin Hood, I can't remember. And then the other one was supposed to be Little John, wasn't he? But again, I can't remember the names for it.
Oh my god, that's amazing. That's amazing.
But I think they're 4th or 5th edition Bretonia. Again, just
yeah, there must be. Yeah.
It's Chris, one of the Grotto guys. He's got a Mordheim game. He uses these models.
Wow.
Which is just awesome. But again, the quality that he's put into these, and the vividness of the blues, really, really stark.
There's a lot going on there, but in a very creative and brilliant way.
Yeah, and again, the Grail Knights, the detail he's gone into to get all the different shades. Every single color is highlighted to 3 or 4 times. Just beautiful. And in a second, you've got a picture of all the shields.
What?
Just stunning. Absolutely stunning.
That's incredible.
And again, it's something that Dan mentioned a couple of times ago, a couple of episodes ago, about the uniformity in chaos.
Yeah.
So, for example, although, yes, every single shield is different, because they all use the same style, they all have the same sort of patterns, like the heraldric, like symbols, it just works so well. But you can see the basic like Knight Errants, which is just like your black cross on a yellow field, all the way up to your Grail Knights at the top, where the detail is just so cool.
It's interesting. It's interesting how effective simple geometric shapes are in miniature, in the aesthetic for painting miniatures. Especially on like Lutherian 99's last ones, where we saw a lot of like checkers, which we see a lot in Mordheim-esque paintings. We see them here, chevrons or sort of bands, straight line bands. Do you remember Wayne England's quite famous dwarven army from dwarf? Just uses quite simple uses of either chevrons or shingles, but to a very great effect of separating white and blues. Same here. I mean, amazing paintwork and designs and freehand, but also utilizing some very simple shapes, but in a very effective way, either a straight band or a diagonal line or chevrons, or checkers, and it's really effective for anyone if you're looking to try and sort of band together your or create a uniform effect for your when painting your army.
Definitely. I think it's stunning. This is something that I, as a painter, I do not dabble in freehand. I did it years ago and I didn't enjoy it. But I'm doing a Dark Angels commission at the moment, and there are lots of checker patterns with bone and black.
Nice.
So I'm starting to get into the hang of just preparing and just doing it. And I'd love to be able to add something like this into my future projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jean Pienture on Instagram, guys.
Well done.
So this is the the top one. You've probably heard of this name, Dan. Flame On Miniatures.
Maybe.
It starts off quite tame.
Uh-huh.
So it's a miniature painter, and he specializes in blending.
Right.
Okay. So that is a Lord of the Rings orc.
Right.
Oh,
So all non-metallic metal, Dan.
Yeah.
my goodness. Okay.
On the
So
smaller
that is
scale model as well, which is
Yeah.
tiny,
very impressive.
absolutely tiny.
Yeah.
Again, look at the leather.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Ready?
brilliant.
There's also not a lot of definition on the Lord of the Rings sculpt,
There's
so
not.
that's
They're not.
even more impressive.
So he's created the shading and the shadows, and then
Yeah.
amplified it from there, which again is mind blowing. Bigger model.
Oh, hello. Right. Okay.
Hello.
Brilliant.
The flame effects from underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Flame on.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of cheeky flame on. Well done. God. Bit of the old freehand on the kilty thing.
Yeah, I'm
Really
not impressed
nice.
by it. I assume that's freehand on the axe.
Yeah.
Oh, but totes cash tattoos.
Yeah. Cash tattoo. Yeah.
Whoa, get out.
What? That is incredible.
So that is a non-heroic Lord of the Rings scale goblin.
So for anyone who might just be listening to this, so if listening on the podcast, basically it's a Lord of the Rings goblin, and what looks like what I can only describe as though someone has photoshopped the coloring of the armor and the metallics onto on the weapon.
What about
and
the
skin
chevrons on the cape?
And the chevrons on the cape. It looks as though someone's photoshopped, and it isn't. I mean,
because that model is like what 3mm tall. Like, what is going on?
That is amazing work. Amazing work.
So traditional models.
Sorry. Lovely bit of techless.
No, wait, I'm not done with this goblin.
Okay, all right. All right. Yep.
Like
Okay.
the blending on the armor is one thing. Like the non-metallic metal on the armor is one thing. But given the size of the model, the scratches on the axe, which have highlighting.
Oh my god, yeah.
If you weren't so good at painting Flame On, I would dislike you.
So remember last episode or a couple of episodes ago, you mentioned about is it Katerina Gorska, with the saying that woke up one morning and wanted to be envied.
Yes.
This for me is it's flawless.
No, that's techless, mate.
Hey. Oh, wowza, look at that. Yeah.
So to be able to do that with magenta.
Yeah.
Again, the gold on there as well.
Just brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great work.
It is brilliant. Just how I just don't. Oh, how? What? What are the terms and conditions of the bargain, the soul bargain with the devil?
I don't
to
know.
be
But
able
it
to
looks
get
ever
blends this
increasingly
creamy.
worth it, doesn't it?
Like, here's me going, oh, I'm gonna do contrast because contrast is fun. Like, what am I doing? Why do I bother?
That's not the intention.
I'm going to dry brush this morning. Oh yeah.
You know what? Yeah.
So the big thing for me on this one is that it looks unreal. It does not look like it has been painted, but this is
It looks like a 3D
picture.
render.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the skill and patience to get the model to look like this
It's
is
brilliant. It's
beyond
incredible.
me.
Yes, it's mind blowing. Well done. Amazing work.
One of the things that I have noticed as well, so in combination with yes, you got the non-metallic metal, but if you look at the grain on the stave,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
is that a single hair on the brush or just
It's just
No, it's the soul of their firstborn, is what it is.
yeah, sacrificed upon the altar?
So right, okay, yeah.
How
So
is it so vivid?
yeah.
So how do you do seafood gloves?
Like that.
Just yeah.
This is, you know what? This is prime listening material, isn't it? It's just us making dejected noises over these frankly
know.
unfairly beautiful models.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Really sorry, listeners.
Yeah.
Um,
Flame on miniatures, please don't ever take anything negative from this. This is
No, this is actually
outstanding
amazing.
stuff.
this is
Like,
just so wonderful,
God.
so beautiful, and so good.
God,
People need to check. If I'm not mistaken, am I right in thinking that Flame On has a Patreon as well with tutorials?
yes, they do.
Oh,
And they go into step by step on
Yeah.
how to achieve this.
Yeah,
I don't know. Probably take a couple of watches to go through before you get to this level. However,
would this be the equivalent of the learn how to draw a horse?
yes, yes. But for me, this one here, every single detail is painted to the nth degree, but the reflection on the saw blade is bang on. He has to have looked at a saw blade in real time to paint that like that. And so for me, it's not just it's a fantastic drawing or painting. Sorry, they have to have researched how to do it because you cannot achieve this just from your mind's eye. If I'm wrong, then shoot me.
You hope they can't, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, the deal with Beelzebub is a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is this a bus? Oh, it is a bus.
It's a bust.
Bust. Okay.
Yeah, because if that was a 28mm model, I think we would have just ended the recording right here.
Exactly. Just yeah, I have nothing podcast worthy to say about this.
Looks all right, doesn't it?
It's incredible work. It's all right. Amazing OSL.
Again, this is next level. It could almost be a photograph.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
If you're watching this, then we highly recommend you pause, switch over to YouTube, and watch this instead.
Yes,
because yeah, we're just making noises at this point.
Yeah,
exactly.
We can't comprehend.
On the pauldron on the right hand side, you can see the reflection of the book in the pauldron.
On the right hand side.
So his left hand.
Oh, his elbow.
Yeah. That is the reflection painted on, reflecting the gold of the book.
I mean, I've just noticed that the OSL on his right shoulder has a shadow from the handle of his sword.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, it does. And again, the attention to detail on this is, well, next level. 100% next level. Well, 20 levels above.
Yeah.
But no, fantastic work from Flame On. It's a bit more of the OSL there.
Oh, I see. I've realised what you're saying about what you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
About the reflection now. Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That is probably the best model that I've ever seen painted.
Well, until
Until next week.
Yeah.
Oh.
When he does
Now,
that on when he does
next
that on
up
the
is
6
our own projects.
yeah, we're gonna scrap our army
Ow.
projects because by comparison.
So again, please check out Flame On Miniatures, guys. Follow him on the Patreon.
Mm,
If you can learn anything from this guy,
yeah, definitely.
it'd be amazing. Okay, and now, so something a little bit new for us. We're going to try and delve into the world of the Ninth Age in terms of the lore and the history of it. So, as you can see, this is the world map for the game that we play, or at least part of it. So, this is Vetia and the Middle Sea. So, Andy, do you want to discuss a little bit more about what Vetia is?
Yeah. So I mean, it's the sort of like the world, the area of the world, that that Ninth Age takes place on. I guess that it's difficult to say about it being a planet per se, in the same way of trying to describe Middle Earth as a planet, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So in the way of like, if you can imagine Vetia in the same way that one would imagine Middle Earth, I think is probably the sort of
It's just like one continent, isn't it?
yeah, it's a sort of I'd say sort of like an area continent of there's obviously potentially inhabitable areas outside of whatever this may be. Is it flat? Is it round? Is it? The great thing is, I don't think it is answered, and I don't think it should be answered.
No.
Because different belief systems, different races will have different their own different ideas as to what all of this is. And also, I think there's also something nice. And I think this is this continues to be a thing of BGT as well, as in the background team. Sorry, and the project that players and people should be. There should be also a degree that people have their own agency to, to sort of like make up their own stuff as to how what they want. There's obviously a nice
and populate it, yeah.
Exactly. There's a foundation of things that are truisms for the project. But there's also a large enough scope that you can make your own and stuff up, but you can fill in the gaps as much or as little as you want in order to make your to make your own immersion into the project as much or as little as you want.
Exactly.
So I hope that sort of A is a good enough explanation, but B obviously gives people enough to understand why there is the amount of information out there for them.
Yes, exactly. So this is one of the maps taken from the not the Arcane Compendium, the Background Compendium, and it shows basically a similar map to what the old world used to look like. So it's based on medieval Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of like you've got your Germany Son-style area, your French Aquitaine sort of area, then your Mediterranean sort of style. Everything apart from outside of that is all your different races of humans, and then starting to get more and more like an open canvas, like Andy was saying. So you can start populating as you want to and create your own world, which I think is very clever. So, first of all, we're going to start going through each of the different armies, just showing where they sort of populate at the moment. So, for example, the beast herds, so they have their own little base around the bog of beasts, ironically, but they migrate, which I never knew. I never knew that about the ninth age beast herds.
I mean, it kind
They're
of makes sense
migratory.
when you say it out loud, don't it?
Yeah, exactly. So this is their migration patterns. So again, in the summer, they spend some nice time up in the areas, and then in the winter, when it gets a bit cold, they head down south directly through the lands of the humans, which I think is really, really clever. And it also plays into my understanding of the beast herds, which was a plains roaming sort of herd. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, exactly that. Yeah, this idea of sort of like these as they move, they sort of opportunistic, sort of like raiding parties as well. So not necessarily creating their own territories as they migrate, although they do have their own territories having at the end of each migration. But certainly sort of like opportune. You've got to remember about beast herds is that they're not inherently evil, so they're not attacking settlements or they're not attacking people, because they're trying to sacrifice things for a older god or anything like that. What they're doing is that they're surviving. They're surviving for the best, the greater goodness of the herd.
Yes.
So they're surviving for food. They're surviving for the young. They're surviving for those who are the weaker aspects of the herd who can't fend for themselves. And it's trying to draw away that idea that they're just these mindless evil things that just prey on the weak and just destroy everything for some evil god or gods. But instead, it's about they band together as a herd in order for surviving, and they're surviving in order to help those of their herd who are a bit weaker, or also who are young, who are still sort of trying to find their place within their own internal society as well.
It's very clever. Again, it draws a complete parallel to the world that was, where they were literally mindless machines of chaos. And I like the fact that they have their own societies, they have ways of doing things, which is good. Okay, and the demon legions, for example, anywhere we've got the sideways sort of checkered pattern, it's assumed where there's cultists that would then summon the demons in this realm. So pretty cool.
I like that in comparison to another fantasy world, that the demons are more spread out.
Yeah.
Like culturally as well, because I'm assuming what's happening in Tafira is significantly different to what's happening next to Vetia, for example.
Exactly. So the idea is that, again, in the world that was, they were, again, this other function that was anchored directly in chaos. Whereas in the Ninth Age, demons are one of the 7 different gods. So again, depending on which human settlement, what religion they have, their anti-god, for example, would be a different one. So greed or lust or like different sin.
And I
Very
think,
clever.
yeah, absolutely. And I think also it's dependent on, the needs and wants and desires of the humans as well, which will also drive as to which god that they end up sacrificing or calling upon, which would then make those particular demons attached to said god more prevalent, or I say more powerful, perhaps. At least more called forth from the veil more frequently. So if, for example, for whatever the reason, it was more gluttonous or more wrathful, then certainly that part of the veil or those sort of demons from there would be more prevalent. And that can change for whatever the reason. And if there was if then people then became more envious, coveted more of their neighbours' possessions within a particular town, for whatever the reason, then suddenly gluttony may go off, and then it be taken over by the more sort of envious god. Apologies, I cannot remember the name of the.
It's all right. It's very, very clever.
yeah.
I love the way the demons work in Ninth Age.
Yeah, so I think it's nice because it flows. It's all about the ebb and flow of the desires of mankind. Of humankind, which is great.
I certainly
Exactly.
think the lore behind the Ninth Age demons is, I think, one of the more inspired takes, because I guess there was a potential risk that if the gods of the Ninth Age world were, brand new creations that had their own kind of manifestos or portfolios, it wouldn't really have meant anything. But to anchor them to the seven deadly sins, that strips out one of the things that you could get confused over. Like, what is a wrath demon all about? Well, it's self-explanatory, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And also because they are, inverted commas, human sins.
Yeah.
They are mired in truth, per se.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Dread Elves, again, they are pirates. So anywhere that touches the sea, basically, is where to go.
Mm-hmm.
But they tend to come from Selexia, which is on the top left-hand side of the screen there. All the Dread Elf raiding pies.
So, but given that they are... So obviously this kind of implies a very kind of Corsair... You can understand the Corsair theme behind the Dread Elves. But, Marmaduke, like, how do like the academies fit into that? Is it just there's lots of military academies back in Selexia and they just happen to be on these ships, or?
Yeah, well, I think it's still from a from high society who have utilized the use of sea access to increase their productivity of said societies, but in a far more militaristic, the use of military and sort of magic as well. And then entwined within that, the creatures that they've encountered along the way during their exploration of Ventia. So, for example, like the raptors or the krakens and such like.
Hydras,
the hydras and the mist leviathans. These creatures that they've encountered, that they've realized, or that they found that they could actually, with cunning and a bit of tricks, can actually tame and use them in combat. Because whilst they have their Inselexia, they do have like ports and cities, but they do go a little bit further inland as well, and they have a sort of a more they have sort of like more societies that are based also inland, not just sort of like just on ships, but just are all more land based as well. But it's also about utilizing their access to the sea and what they can gain to help them with the sea exploration of trade, the politics behind it. Yeah, okay, there's a lot of like raiding that goes on, but again, it shouldn't be thought in a sense of, oh, they are evil per se. The use of, now, the tricky one, and this is a tricky one, they do use slavery as a means to get new recruits. And also to build their ships, build their cities, and also as a means for recruitment as well. And that is inherently not good, and we know this, and we know that that's not good. And obviously there's room that people are absolutely allowed to judge that, as would any other sort of like settlements and other races sort of like judge on that. It is a thing that they have chosen to do. How they pick and choose who they enslave Again, it's very much dependent on the commanders. And I think there's there's an ongoing narrative in the background about all that, and it's obviously very different from their counterparts of the Highborn and the Sylvan, who don't utilize such tactics.
Yes.
Yeah, look, I think it's stuff that we shouldn't sort of like shy away from, and we go, well, look, they do this. Are they evil? Are they not? Ninth Age doesn't like to use good and evil. Should there be judgment? I think there can be. You can absolutely judge the fact that these people enslave people. I mean, that's not a good thing. Obviously, it's about what are they doing behind that. What's going on behind that?
Yeah.
And you can judge. I mean, everyone's allowed to judge them. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that helpful? Is that helpful?
The Dread Elves, definitely.
Yeah.
Again, they're not just the pirates that I called them at the beginning. So it's more of a ocean-based economy, which then has access to everywhere that they can get to. So that they've got far massive reach.
I guess in that sense, they're almost very, dare I say it, very kind of Viking-esque, where they've got their holdings and then just strike out seemingly everywhere.
Yeah, and if you remember that sort of Viking was never a race of people; it was a profession.
It was a profession.
And no, I'm not correcting you in any way. I'm sort of like using that as the example that the piracy of, if we want to use that, of the of Dread Elves is more of an occupation rather than them as a
people.
Race.
Yeah. Gotcha. Makes sense.
Cool. Okay, guys. So if you enjoyed the section there where we started races of the Ninth Age, please let us know. We'd love to come and do some more for you. But all the information that we've used can be found in the background compendium, which is on the T9A forum in the download section. Next time, we would like to do a deep dive into the Warriors of the Dark Gods lore, specifically looking at the different sins and different options you have for the Warriors of the Dark Gods. Okay. And in the next episode, we have Benny from the Ninth Age forum. We've gone into a lot of done. He's done a fantastic Orc and Goblin army. And then we have our external influences. We have a creator called Tawny L, who specializes in, how do I explain it? In funky little models and creations and things that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see. And then, yeah.
No, sorry, I was sorry. That's an exclamation to what's coming up. I'm excited. I'm excited for Torneo and for Benny and for Melsgard.
So I met Torneo. I went to a fairy festival in Glastonbury, and actually met the stand. And she had a little stand where she was selling things. So it's good to showcase some of her stuff that she does. And then Mouseguard is a comic book series, which again is fantastic. And again, I can't wait to show you guys my thoughts on that one. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much for joining us, guys. And if you'd like to like, share, and subscribe on the following social medias, we'd really, really appreciate it. But for now, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you, gents.
Thank you for having me.